Hello and welcome to another video. Today we are talking about pensions and everything related to pensions. So let's get started. So what is a pension? Basically, a pension is just a pot of cash that you and your employer can pay into and which you get tax relief on as a way of saving up for your retirement. Then, at retirement, you can draw money from your pension pot or exchange the cash with an insurance company for a regular income until you kick the bucket, which is called an annuity. Now, since 2015, from the age of 55, you've been able to access your pension plan more flexibly, taking as much or as little cash as you like, whenever you like. This will rise to age 57 from the 6th of April 2028. So keep that in mind when considering your pension planning. But it's also important to understand how pensions can affect your income. So saving for a pension affects your income because essentially you're giving up disposable income now in exchange for a future pay rise in the form of a pension income, meaning you will be getting less in your pay packet right now. Tax relief means for every £80 you pay in, the state pays in £20. And it pays in more if you pay more tax. This is a big benefit of saving into a pension. If you pay money into a pension yourself, or if it is taken by your employer from your pay packet and paid in, you automatically get 20% tax back from the government as an additional deposit into your pension pot. And if you are a higher rate taxpayer, you can claim an additional 20%, while top rate taxpayers can claim an additional 25%. So, how does the tax relief work? Getting 20% tax relief doesn't mean you get 20% back of what you contribute. Instead, the 20% is calculated on your pre-tax earnings. So, when a basic 20% rate taxpayer invests £80 of their take-home pay in a pension, they'd have actually earned £100 before tax. The tax relief is 20% off the £100. So, in other words, £20. So, how much should you put in a pension? With auto-enrollment workplace pensions, there is an 8% minimum contribution level. You and your employer's combined contribution should reach this. But if you can afford it, you can put more. The basic advice that you will get is to put as much as possible as early as possible. But as I say, that is down to you and your individual choice. So, what is auto-enrollment? Pensions for employees are nothing new. They have been a common staff perk, particularly for people working for big companies for many years. However, not all employers have offered pensions. Auto-enrollment now requires all companies to offer their workers a pension, to automatically enroll you in the scheme, and crucially to contribute on your behalf. From 6 April 2019, the minimum employer contribution level increased to 3%. Under auto-enrollment, total contributions must at least 8%. So if the employer only puts in 3%, the employee, you, has to contribute 5%. Now, you can say no to auto-enrollment if you don't want to join, but it's an opt-out rather than an opt-in scheme. So if you do nothing, you will be opted in. Now, there's something called a salary sacrifice. So, what's a salary sacrifice? Paying into a pension gives all taxpayers a tax break, but for an extra and easy bonus, salary sacrifice is worth considering if your employer offers it. Salary sacrifice applies to a number of workplace benefits such as childcare vouchers or cycle to work schemes, not just pensions. It's where you give up some of your monthly earnings and your employer puts it towards something else. In this case, your pension contribution. As it comes out of your pre-tax salary and straight into your pension, you pay less national insurance. Your employer will also pay less employers' national insurance, which gives them an incentive to operate the scheme. For basic rate taxpayers, because your pension contribution comes out of your pre-tax salary, you will pay less income tax at 20%. You will also avoid your 12% national insurance contributions on the amount you sacrifice. This means for every £68 you sacrifice from your pay packet, £100 goes into your pension pot. Higher or top rate taxpayers. If you pay tax at the higher 40% or 45% rates, salary sacrifice means you don't have to claim back the extra tax relief yourself, as you are never taxed on those contributions in the first place, and you don't have the national insurance deducted on those contributions either. To deposit £100 in your pension pot, you only have to give up £58 from your pay packet, as no tax or national insurance is deducted as a higher rate payer. And for the top rate payer, you only give up £53. But take note, one thing to take consideration is, it's called a salary sacrifice for a reason, is that you have to sacrifice your salary for a bit, meaning you get a lower salary. This can have knock-on effects. It could reduce your earnings, make it a struggle to pay your bills, and if it does reduce your earnings, you might no longer qualify for statutory maternity pay, just as an example. So, should you take your employer's pension? Well, that depends on you, but I think you should. See, if you're employed and over the age of 22 and you're earning £10,000 a year, you will be auto-enrolled into a pension to which your employer must contribute at least minimum 3% of your salary. This is effectively a pay rise, so opt out and you're throwing away free cash from your employer. It may not be going into your pay packet, but it is going towards your future. Now, you might have heard that pensions are rubbish or they're a scam, but they're not. You see, you gotta ignore those crazy people that say that. People don't understand what they're talking about. It's just from some misunderstanding of what a pension plan is. A pension is simply a tax shelter wrapper to save money for retirement. That's all it is. And there are different types of pensions as well. It's not just one type of pension. So the first distinction is whether the pension is a final salary or a money purchase pension. So final salary, these pensions, sometimes called defined benefit schemes, or in some cases career average revalue earning schemes, that's just long for no reason, are largely funded by employers, though staff may also have to pay into them. With these, you get a percentage of your final pre-retirement salary or when leaving that firm as an annual income. What that percentage is depends on how long you worked for that particular company. There is normally an accrual rate set by your employer as a fraction of your final salary. Next is money purchase pensions. With money purchase pensions, also known as defined contribution schemes, the money you put into your pension plan is invested, and what you have at retirement depends on how those investments have performed. When you retire, you either withdraw cash from your plan or swap its value for an annuity and income for life. Most workplace pensions and all personal pensions are money purchases. Pension plans can also be categorized as workplace pension schemes. This is where you and or your employer make regular monthly payments with that money invested by a pension company until you hit retirement. There are two types of workplace pensions: trust-based and contract-based pensions. Trust-based pensions. A board of trustees manage investments on your behalf. You and possibly your employer pay into the pot and it's invested. The trust fund is kept at an arm's length principle, separate from the company. What's more, it allows benefits to be handed to your partner or other dependent members. Group personal pension. This type of pension is between you and a third-party insurance provider. The provider isn't required to act in your best interest. The snag is that your employer chooses the provider, but these arrangements usually offer you a choice of investments. Stakeholder pensions. These are similar to workplace pensions, but have low and flexible minimum contributions, cap charges, and a default investment choice. You won't have to decide where to put your cash. Self-invested personal pensions, or otherwise known as a SIP. These are do-it-yourself pensions, allowing you to choose your investment. Investors prepared to do the legwork themselves can run a SIP on the cheap if they use the right provider. So, who's holding your money when you save for a pension or when you save into a pension? With most workplace pensions, your employer chooses a third-party pension company such as Aviva or Standard Life. Usually there will be a default fund selected by or on behalf of your employer, and if you do nothing, your pension contributions will be invested into these funds. But most schemes will allow you to choose your own investments. And if you start your own pension, a SIP, it will also be managed by a pension firm, but you will always make the investment decisions unless you get one of those robot investors. So, what happens when you retire? Once the money is in a pension, it can't be withdrawn willy-nilly. It must stay there until you're at least 55, barring some circumstances. And from 2028, it will be aged 57. At that point, you can take 25% off. You can take 25% off as a tax-free lump sum, with the rest ideally providing an income for the rest of your life. Now, just a bit of warning. If you get approached by some creepy random people saying that you can access your pension before you turn 55, it's a scam. So ignore those people and carry on with your day. So, talking about scams, how safe is your pension? With savings accounts, the simple rule is that up to £85,000 per person per institution is fully protected should your bank go bust. This protection is provided by the UK's Financial Service Compensation Scheme, and the same applies for pensions since the 1st of April 2019. So if you have 85,000 or less within one company, you're fine. So with all that being said, hopefully this video was helpful and informative? If so, give it a like. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe, and yeah, take care.